My sister looked down on me for being a stay-at-home mom. It must be nice to do nothing all day. She scoffed. I said calmly, everyone's work looks different. She snickered. Until my side hustle went viral and the CEO she'd been trying to impress walked up to me. My name's Rowena, I'm 42, living in Portland, Oregon, and for the past decade, I've been a stay-at-home mom to 2 incredible kids. My husband, Alan, works in city planning, and together, we've built a modest but happy life. It's not glamorous, but it's full of love, messes, homework meltdowns, soccer practice pickups, and family dinners where someone always forgets the napkins. My older sister, Sierra, lives a very different life. She's 46, lives alone in a penthouse in San Francisco, and is the VP of marketing for a rapidly expanding tech company. Her days are filled with branding decks, influencer campaigns, and schmoozing with investors over overpriced cocktails. She's never wanted children, made that clear since we were teenagers, and she never really understood my choices. Our relationship has always been brittle. Not openly hostile, but laced with competition and subtle jabs. We're civil for family events and birthdays, but emotionally, we live on separate planets. Every year, we both head down to Eugene, Oregon to visit our mother for Thanksgiving. And every year, Sierra makes some offhand remark that slices deeper than she probably realizes. Last Thanksgiving, it was the same song and dance. I was in the kitchen early, helping Mom with the stuffing and basting the turkey. My son, Julian, had just finished peeling potatoes while my daughter Madison set the table. Alan was fixing the faucet Mom had been complaining about for months. The air was warm with spices, and everything felt familiar, grounded. Then Sierra arrived. As always, she made an entrance, heels clicking against the tile, wearing a sleek winter coat that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. She hugged Mom stiffly, gave Alan a quick nod, and sat down with a sigh like she'd just survived a war zone. "You're glowing," Mom said, offering her some cider. Sierra smiled. "It's just been a lot. Launching a new campaign, dealing with talent negotiations. You know how it is." She glanced at me as she said it. I didn't respond. I just stirred the gravy. Later, during dinner, the conversation turned to work. Sierra lit up as she talked about the upcoming Greenwave Tech Gala in San Francisco, an invite-only networking event for sustainability-focused executives and influencers. "I've been working my way up to a one-on-one with Callum Vaughn for months," she said, beaming. "He's basically the god of green innovation. This gala could finally make it happen." Then she turned to me with that smirk. "And what's new in the thrilling world of carpool lanes and PTA meetings?" I swallowed. I'd gotten used to her tone, but it didn't sting any less. "Everyone's work looks different," I replied softly, trying not to escalate. She chuckled, poking at her cranberry sauce. "Must be nice to do nothing all day." That was it. The same jab she'd delivered a dozen times before, just with different words. Mom tried to change the subject. Alan gave my hand a reassuring squeeze under the table. But what Sierra didn't know, what nobody at that table knew, was that I'd spent the last 18 months quietly building something. It started out of restlessness. During the pandemic, I'd begun filming short, simple videos of my DIY projects around the house. Composting, natural cleaning solutions, upcycled furniture. I wasn't trying to become famous, I just wanted a creative outlet. I called it Rooted Living. I uploaded to YouTube and TikTok during school hours and edited videos after the kids were in bed. At first, it was just a few dozen views. Then a few hundred. Then something clicked, a 90-second clip about making natural laundry detergent blew up overnight. A week later, Target shared one of my videos. Then a sustainable lifestyle blog featured me. And just like that, my follower count exploded. By the time I sat at that Thanksgiving table being mocked for doing nothing, I had over 300,000 followers and was fielding brand partnership emails weekly. A publisher had even reached out, interested in a book about everyday sustainability. I hadn't said anything because I didn't feel the need to. It wasn't about proving anything, it was about creating something that mattered to me. But now? Now I was glad I hadn't said a word. Because the universe had a poetic sense of timing. 2 weeks later, I received an invitation I never expected. One of the companies sponsoring the Greenwave Gala had seen my YouTube content. They were organizing a pre-event panel featuring women in sustainability and wanted me to join as a speaker. I reread the email 3 times, thinking it had to be a mistake. But it wasn't. They wanted me to talk about community-driven green living and my journey from homemaker to influencer. I didn't even hesitate. Alan cheered me on, my kids were thrilled, and within days, I had my ticket booked. I arrived at the gala in a rented navy dress, hair curled in a style Madison had helped pick out, and a small card in my purse with bullet points of what I wanted to say. I wasn't sure what to expect, how I'd be received, if I'd fit in, but I knew I belonged there. My panel was in the late afternoon. The room was packed. I spoke alongside 2 entrepreneurs and a sustainability consultant. When it was my turn, I shared my story. I talked about making green living accessible, how community matters more than perfection, and how moms can be innovators from their kitchens and garages. When I finished, people clapped. Then, during the networking hour, someone tapped me on the shoulder. "You're the woman behind Rooted Living, right?" I turned. It was Callum Vaughan. He was taller than I expected, kind-eyed, and deeply curious about my work. We talked for 20 minutes about waste reduction, digital education, and community gardens. He asked about my kids. About the cleaning spray recipe I'd posted last month. Then he handed me his card. "I think we could work together," he said. "Seriously?" Then it happened. Across the room, I spotted Sierra. She was laughing with 2 men in suits, drink in hand, mid-story. Callum noticed her and raised his eyebrows. "Oh. That's Sierra Klein, right? She works for Redwood Marketing. I've seen her pitch deck." He walked over to her, waving me along. Sierra's smile froze when she saw me. "Hi," she said carefully. "Sierra, I didn't realize you were Rowena's sister," Callum said, genuinely impressed. "Rowena's work is really ahead of the curve in community impact. I just told her I want to collaborate." Sierra blinked. "You know her work?" Callum chuckled. "Everyone does. My team shares her composting video during onboarding." She nodded, slow and strained. "Right. Of course." I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. But something shifted at that moment. For the first time, she saw me. Not the homemaker. Not the woman with messy hair and reusable shopping bags. But someone who had quietly built something real. Something that mattered. After that night at the gala, things didn't exactly change overnight between me and Sierra, but the air between us had definitely shifted. I didn't hear from her for a few weeks. Not unusual, she was never the type to call just to catch up. But when she did text me, it was the kind of short, clipped message that made me stare at my phone longer than necessary. "Congrats on the panel. Looks like it went well." That was it. No emojis. No follow-ups. But for Sierra, that was practically an essay. I just replied, "Thanks. Hope the rest of the gala was good." Nothing after that. Just silence. I knew her well enough to know she was trying to recalibrate. Sierra's never handled being out of the spotlight very gracefully, especially when it's someone close to her. And while I wasn't trying to compete, I also wasn't going to shrink myself just to make her comfortable. Around the same time, I was trying to figure out what was next for Rooted Living. The team at Greenwave reached out for a series of brainstorming sessions, and I started working on an extended collaboration with them, creating bite-sized educational content for their online sustainability toolkit. It wasn't huge money, but it was real. Tangible. And I was finally being paid for the hours I'd poured into this labor of love. Alan was thrilled. The kids were proud in their teenager eye-rolling kind of way. Madison even offered to help me manage the comment section on YouTube, saying it looked unhinged lately. She wasn't wrong. Then, a few weeks after the gala, Mom called. "Rowena," she started in that cautious tone she always used when she was trying not to pick sides, "Sierra mentioned you were doing something with that CEO. What exactly is it?" I sighed. I hadn't meant to hide things from Mom, but I also hadn't sat her down and explained what Rooted Living had become. She still referred to it as my little project. "I'm working with Greenwave on some content," I said, trying to keep it simple. "It's going pretty well." "Well, that's wonderful," she said, genuinely. Sierra seemed surprised. That didn't shock me. "She'll get used to it," I said. "Eventually." There was a pause. "She asked for your website. I think she's been watching your videos." That gave me a moment's pause. I didn't know how I felt about that. Was she hate watching them? Looking for flaws to criticize? Or maybe, just maybe, trying to understand me? I tried not to dwell on it. That winter, I got busier than I'd ever been. Between content planning, brand deals, and meetings with my newly hired virtual assistant, a wonderful college student named Priya who understood Instagram analytics better than I ever would, my calendar started looking like Alan's. We even joked about scheduling date nights with Google Invites. One rainy afternoon, while editing a video on zero-waste gift wrapping, I got an unexpected email. It was from a PR firm working with Sierra's company. They wanted me to appear as a guest contributor for their next campaign, highlighting women leading sustainable initiatives at home. I stared at the screen, blinking. My first instinct was that it had to be a mistake. But the email was clear. They'd seen my work, believed my platform aligned with their vision, and wanted to feature me in a short-form campaign. The contact person wasn't Sierra, but she had to have known. Nothing like that got approved in her company without her name somewhere on the chain. I forwarded it to Alan, whose response came back instantly, holy yes *****. Is this real? I laughed, almost in disbelief. But then the strangest thing happened. I hesitated. Did I want to work with a company that had made Sierra so comfortable mocking people like me? Or was this exactly what I should be doing, proving, not just to her, but to everyone, that there is no such thing as just a stay-at-home mom? I thought about it for a full day. Then I accepted the offer. When I showed up to the shoot, I was greeted by a small team of production staff and makeup artists. They were kind, professional, and clearly familiar with my work. They'd prepared a whole storyboard inspired by one of my early videos, featuring a day in my life, juggling parenting, sustainability, and business. The tone was authentic. Nothing glossy or overproduced. Just me. About halfway through filming, Sierra showed up. She wasn't expected to be on site, but there she was, clipboard in hand, lips pressed into a thin line. We made eye contact, and for the first time in maybe 2 decades, she looked nervous around me. Not angry. Not dismissive. Just unsure. We didn't talk much. She gave me a quick nod, and I returned it. Professional. Civil, I focused on the work. But as I was packing up to leave, she approached me quietly. "Your numbers are really strong," she said, almost like a question. I smiled. "Thanks. Been a busy year." She paused, looked down at her clipboard, then back at me. "Let me know if you need anything from our side," she added. Seriously. It wasn't an apology. Not quite. But it was something. And for Sierra, that was a start. I left the building feeling, not triumphant, but steady. Grounded. Like something that had been off-kilter for years was slowly clicking back into place. Not because she changed. But because I stopped needing her approval. In the months that followed the shoot, the campaign featuring my work rolled out across Sierra's company's social channels, newsletters, and even a segment in their quarterly sustainability report. My face. My kitchen. My voice talking about how everyday people can change the world by starting with their trash bins and reusable cloths. I kept waiting for the moment Sierra would reach out again. Maybe to comment. Maybe to pretend it had all been her idea. But she didn't. Instead, something else happened. I started getting messages from women, hundreds of them. Some were fellow stay-at-home moms, others were teachers, retirees, even burned-out tech professionals. They told me how they stumbled upon my videos, how it made them feel seen. Like they mattered. That their work at home, with their hands in the soil and their hearts on the stove, wasn't small. That it was powerful. A few even said they saw me through the campaign Sierra's firm had run, and had gone down a rabbit hole binge-watching every video I'd ever made. That was the real full-circle moment. Not when the CEO remembered me. Not when Sierra saw my face on her company's homepage. But when regular women told me that I reminded them of who they used to be before they were made to feel invisible. Still, the part of me that had been the little sister craving recognition, she wasn't quite done. That summer, the Greenwave team invited me to speak at their annual conference in Austin, Texas. It was a big deal. A 3-day event with panels, keynotes, and brand showcases from across the sustainability industry. They were flying me out, putting me in a hotel, and even asked if I wanted a media coach. Alan insisted I go. "You earned this," he said. Don't downplay it. I said yes. A month before the event, I received the list of other speakers and attendees. Sierra's name was on it. She'd be hosting a workshop on brand storytelling for eco-conscious companies. I read the listing twice, smiled to myself, and highlighted her session. When the conference rolled around, I flew out a few days early to rehearse. The venue was massive, modern, sleek, full of soft lighting and greenery. My talk was scheduled for the second day. I spent the first evening walking the vendor stalls, chatting with small business owners and old-school environmentalists with solar backpacks and homemade soap samples. And then I saw her. Sierra, in a black blazer and block heels, standing near the wine bar, laughing with a group of marketing directors. I wasn't planning on approaching her. But I didn't need to. She saw me first. Her smile froze for just a split second, just long enough for me to notice, then she walked over, wine in hand. "Didn't know you were speaking here," she said, casually. Too casually. I raised an eyebrow. "I'm one of the keynotes." There was that moment again, that half-beat pause where I could see her brain recalibrating. But she nodded. "Well, congrats. Looks like everything's really taking off for you." I could have stopped there. But I didn't. It is. Actually, I'm starting my own line of products. Launching in September. Compost kits for schools and community gardens. I'm partnering with Greenwave and a few smaller eco-grants. They're helping distribute. Her brows raised ever so slightly. "Wow. That's impressive." I smiled, not with smugness, but something deeper. Satisfaction. She could hear it. Feel it. I didn't need to say it outright. "You dismissed me for years. You mocked my life. And now, the very spaces you inhabit professionally are paying me to speak." The next day, I gave my talk. It wasn't flashy. I spoke plainly about what it means to build something slowly, in the margins of nap times and between school pickups. I talked about community, not competition. About small acts adding up. About starting where you are, with what you have. People stood. People clapped. Sierra sat in the back row, arms crossed, face unreadable. Afterward, a woman from a national environmental nonprofit approached me about doing a tour of workshops at local libraries. Another asked if I'd consider licensing some of my lesson plans for elementary schools. It wasn't revenge, not exactly. But it was redemption. Later that night, there was a closing dinner, casual, buffet-style, open bar. Alan had flown in to join me, and we sat on the outdoor patio, drinking ginger beer under twinkling lights. Sierra walked past us once, then paused. She turned, looked at me, and said quietly, "You know, I used to think being needed in a boardroom made me powerful. But what you've built, what you're doing, people care. They really care." I looked at her, not smugly, not with spite, but with the same calm I'd had all those years ago at Thanksgiving. "Everyone's work looks different," I said again. This time, she didn't laugh. She nodded. "Yeah. It really does." And then she walked away. That was the last real conversation we had for a while. We still see each other at family gatherings, but the tone is different now. She listens when I speak. She no longer asks what I've been up to lately. Because she already knows. Revenge didn't come in the form of confrontation or dramatic declarations. It came in the form of quiet success. Of recognition earned, not asked for. Of doing the work, even when no one was watching. Especially then. Today, Rooted Living is a small business with a purpose, a team of 3, and an audience in the millions. But I'm still just Rowena, mom, wife, compost queen. And when I think back to that dinner table on Thanksgiving, the scoffing, the dismissal, I no longer feel the sting. I feel gratitude. Because sometimes, being underestimated is the greatest gift of all.